And we are live. Raw Hour Podcast, where we talk about everything music related and everything related to anything. I'm here on the phone with my buddy Isaiah,
Yo!
and we're gonna shut up. And we're gonna be talking about something that me and him actually talk about kind of regularly now. And that's gonna be what we think Game of the Year is gonna be. And we have a pretty good understanding of like what we both think. So Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man game for PS4 came out on Friday, and that game is phenomenal. Story-wise, combat-wise, everything-wise, it's phenomenal. And then we have God of War as well, which came out in April of this year, which is also another phenomenal game, and we'll get into what we think about each of those in a little. And what was the last one that you said you thought would win Game of the Year, or that would at least compete with them?
Probably Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know much about Red Dead Redemption 2, but let's see.
I wasn't big on the first game, but like I just know that people really liked it, so I figured, it'll probably be Game of the Year.
Throw it in there. Oh, it's like a Western game. Okay.
Yeah, like the people who made Grand Theft Auto 5 made it.
Okay. Oh, that might be good. So, let's start with Spider-Man. That came out Friday.
Yes, sir.
It was absolutely amazing.
Dude, I've been playing it nonstop. Like,
So,
I'll go to Fortnite or something, and I'm just like, no, I gotta play Spider.
dude, I'm gonna say this right now. Fortnite is dead. It's absolutely dead, dude.
I can only play it for about like 5 seconds before I get bored.
Dude, I'm at that point. So, the one thing I really liked about Spider-Man, besides its amazing combat controls, is the fact that we got so many like different characters in the game, like evil characters, like villains.
Yeah.
We had what was it, Mr. Negative?
Yeah, Mr. Negative, Electro, Shocker, Rhino.
Scorpion.
Yeah, Scorpion.
We got hints at Doc Ock.
Yeah, we got Doc Ock.
Tombstone.
We had Kingpin for a second. He was cool for the couple minutes that he was there.
Yeah. And then we had Tombstone. What's that like?
Yeah, Tombstone.
What's that like, 7?
Yeah, I feel like, are we missing one?
Kingpin.
No, we said Kingpin. Vulture. We're missing Vulture.
Vulture. There we go. But we got so many different characters like in one game. Yo, they should have did a movie like the Amazing Spider-Man 2, instead of Lizard, it should have been Kingpin. That would have been so good. So good.
I think like they could integrate Kingpin in like the Tom Holland series. I say they could probably do it in the next movie, to be honest. But they're probably gonna wait until like he gets a little older, because I feel like Kingpin's a better role for when Spider-Man grows older.
You think so?
Because that's when it's gonna start becoming more serious. Because Kingpin is a serious character.
Yeah. I feel that. So, but aside with all the characters that we got, the combat in this game is absolutely crazy, dude.
I'm in love with it. I'm sorry to anybody who loves the Batman Arkham series, but it's better. Like,
it is. My thing with Batman and that whole the combat controls in Arkham, like Arkham Asylum and Arkham Origins and stuff like that, is that it's too heavy.
Way too heavy.
It's kind of like overpowering, and I feel like I love the people that create these games, because aren't the people that created Spider-Man the same people that did God of War? I think so.
Nah, they're different. They did the people who did Spider-Man, it's Insomniac Games. They did an exclusive game for the Xbox One when that came out. It was called Sunset Overdrive.
I do remember that game. But
it was a pretty dope game.
But I feel like they should collab on the game, because it was really the what's it called, the pressure of all the hits was really balanced in this game, and I feel like that's something that they did really good with God of War. God of War, you felt like you were hitting someone with an axe, but it wasn't too much.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I want to ask you something. What do you think, like, are the pros and cons of both games combat wise?
For this game, I guess it's a Spider-Man game, so I mean, there's not much you can and can't do with the combat. Because in this game, they let you do so much. So like, I guess a con would be like you're too powerful. Like sometimes, like in certain fights with certain like gangs, you won't get hit once. And I like a balance, like a super balanced feel where it doesn't feel like I'm just overpowering them so much that I can't get hit. Like I'm just naturally good at video games. I'm just saying. But like,
listen to him brag. But
like, yeah, I feel like they should balance it just a little bit more to where the villains are just a little bit harder to beat.
I felt like all of Mr. Negative's dudes were pretty OP. Especially when you first encounter the dudes that have the shields, and they start blasting you with those like big sound waves or whatever it is.
Yeah, they're pretty hard.
So
the demons are pretty hard to do.
So with that said, what do you think are the pros and cons to God of War's combat functions?
Combat for God, I don't know how to. I really like the God of War combat. I don't know. That was a balanced experience for me, like, because how different it was from when it first started to now. It completely changed everything about God of War, and it's good.
Oh yeah, I always let people know before they start playing the new God of War game. I'm like, yo, this is not going to be like anything you're used to when it comes to God of War, so be prepared that it's going to feel different.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They added like a couple key features that they had in the original games, but like it was still different.
Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed, it was very like a big noticeable like similarity between the two. Like on the Spider-Man game, you have those like little like the drones that like shoot around and stuff like that, and I feel like you can kind of like compare that to having like your like a little like Atreus beside you.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yo, Atreus was OP in God of War.
Atreus was he was.
I wouldn't have won a lot of my battles that I actually went into if I didn't have Atreus.
I like the story of God of War too.
And there's I still haven't beat like I beat the whole story mode, but I haven't beat all the side challenges because there are so many, dude.
I'm kind of mad because I accidentally restarted it right when they released the new game plus mode.
Oh,
so
man.
I have to play through it again, and then I'm going to try new game plus where you can have all your armor that you get when you first play.
Oh, dude. That sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, you're mad.
All good.
So, what do you think is going to be like the deciding factor between these two games? Because I know for a fact that they're both going to get nominated for Game of the Year.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But I know that people are going to like feel like they're going to be like in a really tough spot. This is the whole thing I'm going through. I feel like people are going to be in like a really, really tough spot if both of them get nominated.
You know they're both going to be nominated for Game of the Year. For one, you definitely know Spider-Man is, because Spider-Man outsold God of War in 3 days.
Damn, are you serious? I didn't even keep track of that.
Yeah, well, like, pre-sale wise, they did.
Okay, yeah.
But, like, And God of War, people just loved it. So like, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos when both came out, and like people are already saying, like, YouTubers are just like, dude, this is the game of the year for me. I love it. And
I feel like, well, I can say this for both. It brings back a very nostalgic feel.
yeah, my stuff.
And so another similarity that you can do at the end, you get to see Miles Morales unleash himself as Spider-Man or show Peter Parker his powers, and then you have like that bonding moment in between both of them, which is a really nice. It's a nice scene at the end. But we also got to see the scene with Thor at the end of God of War.
Yeah, that was pretty dope.
Oh my god, man!
Both games did really well at like implementing scenes where they could easily lead on into another game. That's why I think.
Yeah. So
Spider-Man left a bunch at the end of the game. They left a bunch of scenes that they can implement into another game. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I think that God of War has over Spider-Man, though, and I feel like you know what I'm about to say, but the soundtrack.
I think you're going to say soundtrack.
Oh my!
I have to disagree. I just have to.
Hold on. Let's play my favorite song real quick from the God of War soundtrack. Dude, the song is just beautiful, man. The whole soundtrack is beautiful. Like, dude, if you think that Spider-Man has a better soundtrack than God of War,
I will explain to you why Spider-Man has a better soundtrack.
I feel like you need to explain to me why.
You want me to explain now? You're going to play it.
No, you explain.
Alright, I'll explain. Alright, so God of War soundtrack, it was good. But it's like it's something that we've seen before in the game.
God of War soundtrack makes me feel like a fucking Viking.
Yeah, but any other God of War game would have done the same thing when you think about it, because the music is just it's the same. Like, it makes you feel like you're playing a game like with a bunch of myths and stuff in it, and it makes you feel that way. With Spider-Man, the difference between the soundtrack and why it was so good is because it's, in a way, it's more nostalgic for the reason that all the Spider-Man games, or all the, I guess, Spider-Man movies and games, they all have these distinctive soundtracks, but you can always tell that it's for Spider-Man, because like it makes you feel like Spider-Man. It's great.
I feel that. So one thing you told me, and you sent me a video and stuff. You said that this game mirrored the Amazing Spider-Man a lot. You had said that this game mirrored and like not, I don't want to say imitated, but like kind of used a lot of influence from the Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what are, besides the video that you had sent me, what are some of the things that you can see that they like, oh, let's take this from here and drop it into the game type of thing?
It's a lot of the moves, like the fighting moves and like when he's web swinging, all that. There's a lot of scenes that they took and they just implemented into the game, and it's pretty good. Like there's in the scene that I sent you from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I can't really say it. I can really only envision it, but like if people see it, they'll know what I'm talking about. But like that scene was ripped straight out of Amazing Spider-Man 2 and put into the game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I feel that. Costume settings, your armor and stuff like that. I think that Spider-Man has it over God of War when it comes to customization of like your suit and stuff like that.
customization wise, I wouldn't say it's necessarily over customization wise, but it definitely has more options.
What, God of War?
Yeah. No, God of War is better customization wise, but like I feel like Spider-Man just has better options and cooler options.
I feel that. And it's not hard to get a lot of the suits that are in the game either.
It's not, yeah.
It's
You get a new suit every like 2 or 3 levels.
Yeah. I forget which one I was looking at today. It's like the Spirit Spider-Man or something like that.
I like how easy they make it. Like how easy they make it to get the suits, but you also have to like gather the materials.
Yeah. Like the dang it, what's it called? The it's not research tokens. That's something else.
Combat tokens or
the challenge credits or something like that.
Challenge tokens.
Yeah. You just gotta gather a whole bunch of those.
Yeah.
And even then, the challenges are really easy. So that's one thing that I didn't like about Spider-Man that I think God of War has over it, is I think that some of the challenges were too easy.
I think the only challenge that I have a problem with, like a real, not like a problem, but like a problem doing, is the one where you have to chase the drones, and you have to the drones drop like these
The little circle, like spears in the air.
The spears, and like you have to get those and like stay on the drone at the same time. And sometimes you'll miss it, and it's just the drone's way ahead of you.
But I feel like God of War did a good job at giving you a challenge without it being too like difficult.
God of War definitely gave you like better challenge. I'll say that much. Yeah.
I feel like the challenge that gave me like the hardest, like the biggest headache in God of War was defeating all the Valkyries.
Oh my god, that was so.
I think I can honestly say I spent like 14 hours trying to defeat like the last one.
I rage quit about 50 times.
Oh yeah, dude. But then you always come back because you're like, I can't leave this game without finishing it.
I would just sit there and I would watch YouTube videos. I'm just like, all right, let me see how these guys do it. And they just sit there for like 50 hours and just get angry. And
they're as angry as we are. It's like, all right.
Helping me at all.
So that I feel like that's the only like actual challenge that I had with that game. So I have a question. Do you how do I word this? Would you rather have all of the characters in like who do you think is better, like as a like all the characters of Spider-Man as a group, or Baldur and God of War? Because I feel like with God of War, since it only had one main villain that revolved around that one main villain, we got to learn more about that villain, and so put it this way, like you know how when you're in Helheim and you see Baldur looking at like the thing that hell is showing him, and it's like his mom like putting the curse on him and stuff, and I feel like you get the same thing with Baldur as you do with Thanos in Infinity War, and you see why he's doing everything, and you see like I feel like in Infinity War you kind of like feel for, you like have empathy for Thanos. I feel like in God of War since it's one character, you get to have a more of a storyline around that character, and you have more empathy, and you can have more feelings for the villain in the game. While with Spider-Man, you have 6 or 7 different villains in that game.
There's 6 main villains.
6 main villains, and I feel like the only one that we actually like get to go in depth with is Doc, and we don't even get that much with him.
I will have to disagree with that. Only because, so, Mr. Negative, Martin Lee, there's a lot of story behind him, and they did a really well, they did a really good job at like telling you why he was doing. It took a while, but they did a great job of telling you why he was doing what he was doing. Like
I can see
everything he did, you would think, oh well, he just wants to take over the city, until you get to the end and they tell you like this is why he wants Norman Osborn dead.
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah.
And the same thing for Doc. They both, yeah. So they did a good, for all the villains that they had, they did a good job at focusing and telling the story for the two main villains that they had.
I feel like, the suit for Scorpion was dope as hell, dude. His helmet gave me like a Magneto type of feel.
Yeah, but I love the suit at the end of the game that Spicy did.
Oh, man.
Oh, sorry to all the people that might not have played it and are going to. Spoiler alert.
This whole podcast is a spoiler alert. Dude, I don't feel bad for any of you if you haven't played it yet.
Sorry. All right.
So, we talked about the customization. We talked about the story. We talked about the villains. We talked about the soundtracks. What else do you think you could compare and contrast with these two games?
I don't know. There's not I feel like there's not too much to compare right now. Some people might argue that 2K and not comparing them, but for Game of the Year wise, some people are gonna argue that 2K or Black Ops 4 are gonna get Game of the Year. But
yeah,
I don't think people.
I'm just saying it now.
I don't think people realize how much goes into being the Game of the Year. You have to look at detail, story, character development, all that stuff.
And I'm saying it now, and I'm sorry for anyone that plays Call of Duty, but Call of Duty, along with Fortnite, it's dead, dude. I haven't played Call of Duty in 5 years, dude.
I've been playing the Black Ops Fortnite. It's not that bad. I feel like they're leveling up a little bit, not by much, but a little bit.
But enough to compare with God of War and Spider-Man?
Not enough for that. Just enough to make a comeback.
Okay. I also don't think that 2K is going to compete with God of War and Spider-Man.
2K has been dead. People just play it because it's 2K. All 2K is the same thing every year. All they do is change the roster.
And the storyline.
Yeah, and add another story for my player. It's another crap story for my player. It's just...
But that's what I've always thought. I've always thought that, everybody's like, yo, you don't have 2K19? You don't have 2K17? No, it's the same thing. Why would I pay for that when I can just keep playing this and it's the same thing?
I'm talking all this trash. I'm still probably going to get it.
So, with all of that being said, and with everything we've talked about, one question still stands.
What is?
Who do you think is getting Game of the Year?
I really got to think about that one, but...
You don't have time to think.
I guess we really can't... I can't tell you for sure until Red Dead Redemption comes out, because I know there's so much hype built around it. And I know, the first game got Game of the Year, too. So, I can't really tell you for sure, but... right now, I'm going to go with Spider-Man.
You think Spider-Man?
I'm going with it.
And I will respect your decision on Spider-Man, but I will also highly disagree, and I will say God of War.
I'm going with Spider-Man because I feel like the story was it was better.
You think the story for Spider-Man was better than the story for God of War?
Let me ask you a question. Did the end of God of War make you cry?
Yeah.
That's interesting, because it didn't make me cry at all.
Are you telling me with the music in the background and them throwing phase ashes off of Jotunheim, the Jotunheim the cliff?
It was a touching moment. I will say that.
And then you see and then you see that Faye knew every single thing that they were gonna do before they did it. Bro, you telling me you had no emotions during that whole sequence?
I honestly didn't. I thought it was a touching moment. It was cool, but it
Yo, you have no soul. You have no soul at all.
the end of Spider-Man made me cry twice.
Yo, you have no soul at all, man.
I'm telling you, dude, the ending of Spider-Man is better than God of War.
Oh, man.
You want to? This is why. This is why. This is why.
Oh, dude, that's such a deep statement, man.
But I can prove it. This is why.
I don't know if you can.
So, you talked about the end of God of War. Spider-Man it really hits you. Like, dude, they killed Aunt May. In no story have you ever seen them kill Aunt May. And in such a way that it was just really emotional. And like, to add on to that, the Doc Ock story with Spider-Man, that whole backstory, like he knew he was Spider-Man the whole time, and you could just see the pain in Peter's face and just everything about it. Who does Peter have left aside from MJ and freaking Miles? Harry's been gone. That was like his best friend.
I was mad I didn't get to see Green Goblin in this game, just by the way.
You said what?
I said I'm pretty mad I didn't get to see, or at least like I didn't think I saw Green Goblin in this game.
No, we didn't need Green Goblin. Well, if we get Green Goblin, he'll come in either the next game or the game after that, or maybe even in a DLC. I like that little Venom tease at the end.
Oh yeah, dude. Venom. So, all right, this is a little bit off topic, but I want to add it into this episode. So, how do you think that they're gonna, or do you think that they're gonna integrate the Venom movies with the Spider-Man movies? Because they seem like they really seem like two different tones of movies.
Yeah, they are. They're talking about, like, Tom Holland. He really wants it. But the problem with it is the tones are just so different. Like, they can change it, I guess, sort of, but, like, I think it would be... There's a rumor going around that they're going to put Andrew Garfield Spider-Man into the Venomverse.
That wouldn't make any sense, because we already have Tom Holland's.
Because apparently Andrew Garfield's contract was set for, like, 4 movies.
Oh, snap.
It's apparently not necessarily up, and they never really confirmed that it was over. His contract was done. They just kind of went on to another Spider-Man. So they could do it.
Yo, bro, they just cut. Yo, they just cut my man off with like all the Spider-Man movies.
Think about it. They're different universes. They already said that they're going to be different universes. They want Venom to be in his own universe, and then Spider-Man is going to be in the MCU, right?
Yeah.
Or Tom Holland Spider-Man. And when you think about it, Spider-Man has all these universes in like the comics already, so they could figure out a way to integrate it, especially with
Definitely.
the new Spider-Man into the universe movie coming out at the end of the year.
Yeah.
They could figure out how to implement something like that.
I feel
wouldn't
that.
have a problem with it.
I need them to get Tobey Maguire back for Spider-Man.
Nah, he's good where he is. Let's leave it. Let's leave it at. Let's leave him where he is. Nah, Toby's been done since Spider-Man 3. I watched that again recently and I cried.
I feel like Spider-Man. Oh, and can we also talk about the fact that they replaced the Dark Knight with Spider-Man 3 on Netflix? Netflix, what are you doing, man? You replaced like one of the best movies ever, like superhero movies wise, and replaced it with Spider-Man 3.
What made me mad about that is I saw it on IGN that they had put it in there because I was trying to figure out what new Netflix shows were coming out this month, or in movies and stuff. And I see that they put Spider-Man 3, and they're like, "Do you plan on playing the next Spider-Man game? Well, watch this to hold you over." Out of all the Spider-Man games or movies that you could have picked, you picked Spider-Man
3.
Like, why?
I feel like Spider-Man 2 did the same thing as Spider-Man 3, though. I feel Spider-Man 2 was trash, dude.
Whoa.
Dude, it was.
Oh my! Spider-Man 2 2 or Amazing Spider-Man 2?
No. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm sorry. I apologize. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was trash.
Bro, I was about to go off.
No, Spider-Man. The Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire is like my favorite movie ever.
Spider-Man 2 Tobey Maguire is the best Spider-Man. I don't care what anybody says. It's the best.
Yeah, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield can literally like die in a cave.
Don't get me wrong. Like, the Tobey Maguire movie, Spider-Man 1, I love it. I do. But, like, there wasn't a lot of action in that movie.
Yeah, no.
Not to say that there was a bunch in Spider-Man 2, but there was more, and it was way more epic.
Dude, and my favorite line from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes from the Green Goblin when he says, "You don't give people hope, you strip it away." Yo. Oh my God, man.
I don't know. I don't hate The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I guess it's not top tier for me. It's just not up there.
So with Spider-Man 2, when Peter Parker decides that he doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore, he goes, I think it was like 38 minutes of the movie was with him not being Spider-Man. So that's like a quarter of the movie.
Yeah.
And he's just like being like a normal dude. Like he's just watching crime happen and stuff like that. And The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it was 8 minutes, my guy. 8 minutes.
Him basically just mourning freaking Gwen's death.
And what brought him back was watching a video of Gwen literally just like talking to him about.
It was pitiful.
And in Spider-Man 2, what brought Peter Parker back to become Spider-Man was Aunt May giving him this talk. Like you almost. It almost gave the impression that Aunt May knew that he was Spider-Man the way that she was talking to him.
Oh, bro. Aunt May has always known he's Spider-Man. She knows. She does. She's always known. She just never says anything.
Like, come on, dude. Come on, man.
Like, I think Spider-Man 2, it was Aunt May, and then, like, literally right after that, he goes to meet up with Mary Jane, and then Doc Ock comes and takes it.
Yeah.
That was like his tipping point. He was like, all right, I gotta come back.
And
that was just an epic moment.
And the fight between Doc Ock and Spider-Man happened on a train where none of the civilians could like leave the train. And The Amazing Spider-Man 2, that last fight happened in front of like in the middle of like a street, and people were just watching. Like no one was running away. And this little dumb kid just runs up in front of the Rhino, which was awful, by the way. I hate that dude for the Rhino. And the Rhino in Spider-Man, in the Spider-Man game, is dope.
He's tough. Wait, time out. Back to the train scene in Spider-Man 2. Did you peep the Easter egg in the game?
Yeah, dude.
In the train station, and Spidey was doing the webs, and he was like, "This worked before."
Yeah.
That was tough. I was like, "Oh my God, Spider-Man 2 reference."
Oh my God, man! And then, so this is like a really reminiscent scene of the Dark Knight in Spider-Man 2 when Peter Parker's about to fall off the train, and everybody grabs him and they like have him in this like Jesus position, like bringing him towards him. And they see his face, but they give him his mask and like keep it a secret and shit.
Yeah.
I feel like that is very reminiscent of the Dark Knight when what's it called? Damn it. When Joker had the bombs on the planes, not the planes, the boats. And he was like, "Yo, you either got to blow up the prisoners or you got to blow up the civilians that are just trying to get home." And you could see like them like come together.
Yeah.
Or even better, as much as I didn't like enjoy Arkham is it Arkham Asylum or Arkham Origins? The last one.
Or Knight?
Arkham Knight, yeah, I'm sorry. But when everybody sees when he gets like revealed as Bruce Wayne to like everybody in the world or in Gotham, and I feel like those two scenes are very like reminiscent.
Yeah.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 just didn't do it for me, man. No.
Yeah, it's at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
If I had to rank the Spider-Man movies, I would go Spider-Man 2. I'm always stuck between the first Spider-Man and Spider-Man Homecoming because I really love Spider-Man Homecoming.
I think Homecoming was better than Spider-Man, the first one.
Yeah. I'm gonna Homecoming, Spider-Man, then Spider-Man, then Amazing Spider-Man, then Spider-Man 3, then the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
So another thing I didn't like about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is that there were too many villains going on at one time. We had Sandman, we had Venom. Was Green Goblin in that one?
We're talking about for Spider-Man 3?
Yeah. Because Harry came back as Green Goblin, right?
Kid Goblin is what they used to call him.
You know what I meant.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was just too much going on at one time, and I feel like that happens a lot of the times when you bring in too many different villains into a movie.
The only people that have really been able to do something like that is Marvel.
Yeah.
They're the only people who really do something like that, and it actually work.
I feel that.
Actually, yeah, they are actually. Because for the two Spider-Man movies that tried that, which were Spider-Man 3 and then the Amazing Spider-Man 2, it didn't work. And then you give half the rights to Marvel. They make a Spider-Man movie. They put in like 50 different villains, and it works. They had Vulture. They had Shocker. They had one more. I can't remember who it was.
So I just want to point out you said 50 different villains and named 3.
It was a hyperbole.
That was a big ass hyperbole.
It was. Because I was thinking of more villains. I know they had a couple. I just can't remember who else was in there.
Yeah.
There's one more. And they even had Iron Man in it. Like, come on now.
Yeah. So do you? I want this to happen, and I know it won't. Do you think that we will get to see Iron Man in the Spider-Man games?
Yeah, they're saying that the Spider-Man game is opening up the door for more Marvel games, more superhero games. So, like, they'll probably integrate something like that in the games eventually, but I won't say it's going to happen anytime soon.
Has there been an Iron Man game? I feel like there's been an Iron Man game. I feel like it's really old, though.
Wait, say it again?
Has there been an Iron Man game?
Yeah. When the first Iron Man movie came out, then they had Iron Man 2 come out after that.
And they had it on PlayStation.
Nah, it was for every system.
It wasn't for every system?
Yeah, it was.
I've played the Iron Man game, and I've played the really, really old Hulk games.
But my favorite Hulk game is Ultimate Destruction.
Oh, yeah, dude. That's the one I used to play.
Bro, that game was just so lit. I had it on GameCube, but then it stopped working, and I cried. I love that game so much.
So we discussed Game of the Year. We discussed movies. We discussed more games. Anything that you want to add into this?
Nothing I can really think of right now that would be like superhero-wise. I don't know. Not much I can think about.
I like the superhero vibe we brought into this podcast. I enjoy that.
Do you think the Venom movie's gonna be good?
I think the Venom movie's gonna be fucking awesome, dude.
I honestly have faith in this movie. I do.
I really like the actor that they got to play him.
I feel like even if it does bad with like critics and stuff, I'm still gonna love it, and I feel like the fans are still gonna love it just for the simple fact that it's Venom and it's something that we haven't seen before.
I love the horror movie vibe that it brings.
Yeah, indeed, I love that. And I'm not sure how great Tom Hardy's gonna be, but thus far he looks like he's gonna be good. So
how great who's gonna be?
Tom Hardy, the guy who's playing Venom.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see.
Nah, dude, he looks promising, man.
Hey, 3 more weeks and we'll find out.
Dude. One more. What was the name of the You had given me the name of the next Infinity War movie. Do you remember what that was?
It was I think they said it was Endgame.
Endgame. What do you think's gonna
Right.
happen in that?
I don't. So hold on, before we get to that, they said it was I don't know if it was a leak or if it was official. They said it was supposed to be Avengers Endgame, but I think they switched it back to Avengers 4.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what's
Okay.
going on with that yet. But what was your question?
So what do you think is gonna go on with that? Warning! We're gonna have a lot of conspiracy theories in this whole like conversation right here, because I know that when Spider-Man went kaboom, he never said I don't want to die. He just said I don't want to go.
There's already so many theories about what's gonna happen. We got time travel.
So I just think that all the superheroes that did die are just in like a little like Thanos cage, like all like shaking it, trying to get out.
Theory about it. I actually think one of the Russo brothers, one of the directors, I think they confirmed that most of the heroes that disintegrated, or most of the people that disintegrated, are in the Soul Stone.
Oh, they are? That was like a confirmation?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, snap.
So they're all in the Soul Stone, and basically, what I'm guessing is what's going to have to happen is they're going to have to figure out how to make another Infinity Gauntlet, and somebody's going to wield it and release all the people.
That actually sounds pretty dope.
One of the popular theories is Hulk is going to wield it, because in one of the comics, Hulk ends up wielding the gauntlet, but the power's too much, so he ends up losing his arm.
Oh, snap.
But yeah.
So if he loses his arm, does Bruce Banner lose his arm?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
They're two different people.
That would suck.
Yo, I hate the theory that I've been reading that Loki actually didn't die and he's actually Bruce Banner trying to become the Hulk.
I heard about that. I heard that one too. That was the dumbest freak. I hate that theory. It's so stupid. It makes no sense.
But as happy as I am that there's a possibility that all the heroes might be coming back, I am sad that we will not be getting back Loki or Gamora.
I am also
Because they actually died.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
Or do you think that Gamora is in the Soul Stone?
I think she is, but I don't know, because I'm not sure what's gonna happen with the next Guardians movie. So
It's gonna be a depressing ass movie.
She's in there because her contract's not up for the movie, so I don't know if they're gonna do the Guardians after the events of it or like something before the events of Infinity War. But I don't know.
All I know is I can't wait for it to come out, but I'm really sad I have to wait.
Honestly, I can't. I even made my mom see it twice in theaters.
Whoa. Yeah, I saw it twice in theaters too. Whoa. Before we stop any conversation going on, can we point out that we have 15 more days until this Logic album comes out?
Bro, I have not listened to Logic since he got popular. But I am ready to hop back on the hype train.
I feel like I don't know if you remember us having this conversation, but I told you I had said it would be really cool if Logic just during his last album was like it was like a whole album just like real like aggressive type rap, like him just like coming at everybody in the industry that ever said anything to him. And don't get me wrong, I still think Logic is overrated. Don't go back to my last podcast and roast me in the comments because I said all this stuff about Logic. I still think he's overrated, but I think that's where he's going because a lot of these songs that he's been coming out with, and all these singles are very like aggressive and like in your face.
It's Young Sinatra. This is what Young Sinatra does.
This is what happens when Logic bulks up and shaves his head.
This is album mode / mixtape mode Logic, and this is what you get.
Yo, I wonder if he's still calling it Ultra 85 though.
I don't know. I have to check that. It's 2 more weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to listen to some of the songs that he dropped because I haven't listened to any of them.
It's not bad. I still think that Logic's very repetitive in all the stuff that he says though.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? Let's cut this off there before we get into another topic. We're supposed to be talking about superheroes. I'll talk to you guys. Say your last words, man.
I used to love Logic, but like now I'm just like, not really anymore.
I feel that. This has been the Raw Hour Podcast. It's episode 9, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.